Let's go. Let's go. Liam, welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome anybody that's watching this to the Purple Guy podcast, episode 4, where we aim to get behind the PFP and get to know the real person behind that bored ape, that mutant ape, or in Liam's case, that moonbird.
I kind of wish I had a bored ape or a mutant ape over a moonbird right now. I'm down pretty bad on that trade, but lesson learned. That's all good.
Absolutely. I think, well, my current PFP I think cost me about $1, so I'm always going to be up on that one. But Liam, thanks so much for coming. For anyone that doesn't know you, and hopefully there's going to be a lot, why don't you give yourself a brief intro, and then I'll dive in.
Yeah, I mean, my name's Liam. My handle LiamDnft. The D stands for my last name, Donnelly. So we have that Irish connection as well, which is cool, even though I'm here in Australia. But yeah, I love NFTs. Been here since October 2011. So I've never traded crypto before. I bought my first ETH in October to trade NFTs because I just love the sound of this NFT stuff. Yeah, and I basically bought the Pico top all-time high of the market. So I bought my first ETH, and it's been down only since then. But I guess I'm kind of like I wouldn't say famous because I'm not famous at all, but like my Twitter profile blew up because I started sharing like my lessons learned, because I only bought 0.6 ETH, and then I managed to trade that up to 6 figures in profits. And that's
that definitely caught my attention.
Now, so what's that?
Yeah, that definitely caught my attention.
Yeah. So I just I didn't know what I was doing, and when I first started, I was terrible, and I was just desperate for like people to help me and teaching. And so when I started learning things, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to chuck it on Twitter and YouTube and just try and help others, kind of as a pay it forward kind of thing. So yeah, and then I kind of set myself a challenge to hit like $1 million. Like start with 0.6 and trade my way up to $1 million in 1 year. And I didn't get close to it. But that was also because like I think ETH tanked. So having 100 ETH at 4,000 is like close to $500,000. And then when ETH got down to 1,000, it's like, yeah, well, I was getting further and further away from that 7-figure flip. But I'm still just stacking my ETH now, and I'm very bullish on ETH and NFTs long term, and so that's what I'm doing.
Brilliant. Yeah, because I was wondering how to not pigeonhole you, but the first thing I asked Nate was, are you a content creator or are you a trader? And yeah, you're definitely a trader, but
I
self-deprecating trader at that.
Well, I mean, no one here can say that they're an experienced NFT trader, because NFT's only been around for 2 years. So, well, I guess trading NFTs, like you could have bought like crypto kitties and crypto punks like back in the day, but there wasn't much trading going on back then, right? And so, yeah, with regards to content creation, I think and this isn't just to Web3 and NFTs, but I think it's all types of content creation, like business and everything. The worst type of content creators are the people that only do content and don't actually do anything that they're talking about, right? Like that's a huge problem in like so many industries. And we're starting to see it a little bit now in like Web3. We're having like NFT experts and Web3 experts that have never actually done anything or traded anything or collected anything in Web3, and they're pushing out like massive amounts of content about the industry. And that's, it's a bit of a farce, really. Like I much prefer to hear from people that are living and breathing in that world, and then sharing their lessons and learnings from that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, hopefully that'll be a nice byproduct of this podcast. So you said you never traded NFTs before. Had you ever traded anything before you got into the NFT again?
Pokemon cards, maybe, when I was like 9 years old. But yeah.
So what were you doing then when NFTs first came along?
So I've run my own business for like the last 10, 11 years, mostly in digital marketing, contract consulting, strategy consulting. And so it's because of that industry. So I was in a private Facebook group with a guy called Alex Becker. I'm not sure if you know Alex Becker. And he, because we were in similar industries like ad buying and ad strategy, and he was showing us just like these crazy JPEG things that he was selling dogs and cats for and monkeys for like crazy amounts of money. And I didn't think too much of it. I just thought, look, that's just out of my league. I don't understand it. Like I'm here to run my business and concentrate on that. But I think I just listened to a couple of podcasts with people that I really respected, and they just said, look, you should probably look at this NFT thing, because a lot of the smartest people in the world are dropping everything and moving across to Web3 and NFTs. And that made me think, okay, well, I'll spend like 2 or 3 days and I'll just deep dive and I'll listen to as many podcasts and videos as possible. And at the end of those 2 or 3 days, I can decide whether it's a joke or a scam or, yeah. And I think like 2 to 3 days, it's just completely sold. But yeah, I think maybe as a kid, like the collecting Pokemon cards, and it just inherently made sense. I also love fantasy sports, so like fantasy NFL, and so like that immediately clicked for me as well, because I was like, I spend so much time playing fantasy sports, like it's just like such a hobby to me, but I spend hours each week on it, and I thought this is like the future, right? Because you could have like NFT fantasy, and like I could actually like make money from putting the same amount of effort and playing this game. And so I was like, this is something worth exploring. And I said to my wife, why don't we just invest like $3,000 Australian? So that was about 0.6 ETH. I said, I still think it might all be a scam. Like, I'm not sure. Like, it seems like all these smart people are saying it's not, but I still think that maybe they're lying and it is a scam. But like, let's just try it. And if we lose that $3,000, that's not the end of the world. And she was, she was very supportive. She said, look, yep, chuck it in, but if you lose it all, we're not putting any more money in. So like, that's it. Like once you lose that, that's it. And so I put it in, and then straight away, I got very close to losing it all. You know what I mean? Like I minted a rug, and like I was buying stuff on OpenSea, and like I was exit liquidity for everyone. I was a terrible trader. And when I was getting close to actually zero, I was having so much fun, and I just thought, okay, I need to figure this out, because I don't want to leave now. I'm having too much fun, even though I'm losing tons of money. And so, yeah, that's when I just really sat down and thought, okay, I need to figure this stuff out, because I promised my wife we wouldn't buy more crypto, that we would only use this and use it as house money. And yeah, I just was dedicated to figuring it out, and slowly but surely, like I think I was down to like my last like 0.1 or 0.2, and like I slowly turned that into 0.3, and then 0.4, then 0, and just like slowly worked my way up, and then finally got to 1 ETH, and then finally got to 2 ETH, and then yeah, just keep working my way out from there.
Yeah, brilliant. A couple of things there. The weird thing about collecting Pokemon cards, I was never a collector as a kid, and I don't remember collecting anything. But since NFTs come along, I'm pushing the kids into collecting Pokemon cards, and V-Friend cards, and all that kind of stuff. And the missus is going mad because boxes turn up at the house. And
I mean, it was sports cards as well for me. So like AFL is a big thing here in Australia. So AFL cards, basketball cards. Yeah. So then
on the fantasy sports side, I always used to do fantasy football, fantasy soccer. For everybody else. And it's funny because I never really ever won any money, but it's always you kind of like that gamble, and the fact that there is like some form of strategy behind it. It's not just
so much fun
every weekend. But then I had to stop, and my friends were saying, why are you not looking at fantasy football anymore? I'm like, I'm looking at this. I just have enough hours in the day to look at everything.
That's right.
And then
so finally, my dream is like So Rare exists, but it's not quite as good as like the traditional fantasy. Like, I don't know. I still think there's a gap in the market there. Like, whoever dominates the Web3 fantasy is going to dominate.
It sounds like DraftKings have a good thing, but being in Ireland, you can't access it. But I did sign up for So Rare today, because I was listening to the Nifty show, and they said they're giving away. You can obviously win something. So I was like, I better sign up for that real quick.
So Rare is good, but it's just it's not quite that same fun of like battling your friends in the same league and having that rivalry with your mates, you know. But yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know. Is DraftKings doing a Web3?
Yeah.
They are. Wow. Okay, that's something to watch. That's really
but
interesting.
it's all kind of geo-locked to the US.
Yeah.
Unless you're clever with some sort of highly complex VPN, I don't think you're getting in. So, but yeah,
that's unbelievable. That's actually, yeah, wow. I'm really, really surprised about that DraftKings. I'm on the site now. That's really crazy.
Matt Kalish and Gary Vee have their Props and Drops podcast, so they used to talk about it quite a lot on that. It's called the Rainmakers League in DraftKings.
Yeah. Wow. Super interesting. Doesn't look like they have it for football yet. It looks like they're doing UFC to start with.
So that he was talking about that on the last podcast. That's the new thing that's come out. They just did the first season of the Rainmakers for the NFL. Yeah, so it's definitely something there. And the last thing I wanted to say was, I really like. So when I first found you and you started telling your story about how you nearly lost it and then you incrementally got it back, like that's the kind of trader that I want to be. I'm more of the lose everything. Whereas, I'm trying to practice that, incrementally stack the ETH. It's okay to have 0.01 here and 0.02 there. And
yeah, for sure.
Haven't quite learned all my lessons just yet.
I mean, that's all part of it, right? But it's a hard game at the moment because there's not that many of us here. It's just kind of like we're deep in the bear market, and the only people here are like the true believers, and so the opportunities are always a bit tougher.
Yeah, I was laughing.
When it's a bull run, there's a lot more market inefficiencies, and it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, because I was laughing with Nate because when I met him on your summit, and we'll come to that in a sec. I was DMing him back and forth, and then like the day I got into his Discord, the bear market really kind of kicked in. And that whole.
That's right.
So I'm learning lots, but nothing's really happening there. So I suppose
I will say though, like it is bear market, but the people in my group cooked. We found these meme cards super early, late last year, and there's so many people in the group that are up 20, 30 ETH just in this month alone, just in January.
It's crazy.
Bear market, there's a lot of opportunities. Like 20, 30 ETH is a lot.
There is, and I think that's something that I'm kind of learning. So I met Franzi recently, and she's in the Unorthodox Discord, and she was kind of given a brief overview of the meme cards to a few of us that were asking, and then even kind of that concept of the derivatives.
Yeah. Yep.
And then going in through Dollar Meme Club into the complaints cards, and I mean, at least we are in the bear market, so that there is time for people like me to learn, because like that you needed to be on the meme cards before now to benefit. So to not have the FOMO mindset, but to have the FOMO mindset of, well, here is someone like you, like Franzi, who explaining the concepts behind what's going on. Well, now I can learn and look out for, I mean, we're in this open edition meta now, all of a sudden. So who knows what's going to happen with that? But it's just being able to spot these trends now and
get in early. You got to. That's probably the biggest advantage is the earlier you are, usually the cheaper your buy-in price is, and then the more profitable you can be.
And I do like.
In my experience, the only way to be early is through a network. Like you can't possibly be early if you're just flying solo. So there's just too much going on. There's too many things dropping at any 1 second. Whereas if you've got a lot of eyes all looking in every corner of the NFT and Web3 space, and that all those eyes have the common goal of helping each other, that's when, that's how we were able to find meme cards super early. And that's how yeah, basically all of my best profits come from is not from me myself, but it's from my like friends and network and groups.
Yeah, so that kind of segues nicely onto the summit that you put on. So for me at the time, I'd kind of FOMO'd into the whole VFriends thing, missed the mint, had been bouncing around a lot of rubbish projects, and then kind of found myself in a lot of VFriends like sub communities, like
Yeah,
getting to
nice.
know the artists and learning about security. But then that I kind of spotted you were doing your NFT summit, and that's kind of where, of all the things that I learned or tried to learn, that the network effect was really the thing that I got the most benefit from, for sure.
The
So
summit was actually because of VCon almost, because I really wanted to go to VCon, but it was in Miami. It's a long way from Australia. I've got like a 2-year-old. My wife's also pregnant. Realistically, for me to just fly over to Miami and go to this conference was just going to put a bit of strain on her and the family. And so I just like, I can't do it. But I was really bummed about it. And like, okay, there's all these like real life NFT conferences going on. I've never actually met any of my friends in real life because it's all online and on Discord and on like video chat like this. So I'm going to do like an online summit and just for anyone in the world, and we just all congregate together and yeah, kind of do the thing. I was pretty surprised that it was there was all these real life meetups and events, but there was no online conferences so I was like, let's just do that. Let's just do a free summit, make it completely free, just get unbelievable speakers in, just make it accessible to anyone in the world. And so yeah,
that's
it's
really,
kind of funny that you talk about VFriends because like that was one of the main motivators and what sparked the idea for me.
yeah, I never would have put that together because they were that your summit and obviously VCon were two completely different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, like and when you so yeah, give everyone like an overview of what the summit was, because when you say you asked some people to do some sessions, like there was a lot of sessions and
There
a lot
was.
of very well-known people in the space all
Yeah.
speaking.
I think I felt very grateful that when I came into the NFT world, I had no idea what I was doing, and I had a number of really experienced, compared to me, experienced and nice people take their time and go out of their way to help and onboard and teach me things and upskill me and not always one-on-one but more like in a group setting. And so people would always ask me like, oh, far out, Liam, your results and profits are amazing, like how did you do it? And my answer was always the same. It's like I learned from people who were a lot smarter than me and just was just a sponge. um and then the follow-up question was like, well, how can I learn from these people? And the sad part about that is it's really hard to learn from these people now because NFTs are so much more popular. The best traders are so hard to access because they're so famous and popular. And so I thought, okay, well, what if I just reached out to all of these people that helped me, and I just said, let's just get them all together and do the exact same thing they did with me separately, but do it all in one group. And so then anyone who attends the summit essentially can get the same crash course that I got over the course of a year, but in like a compressed time frame. And so I thought, like, let's do it over a month. I can get heaps of speakers in. We can make it like a festival. People can choose like which speakers to attend and which people not to. Like, it's kind of like, I thought about having different stages and that sort of stuff. Like, it ended up being like way more work than I thought it would be. But yeah, with the whole intention of just to provide as much value as possible, and kind of
What
like give back to the NFT space, because it certainly changed my life. So it felt good to be able to kind of pass that on and help change other people's lives as well. I honestly didn't know if the speakers would say yes. Like there was a lot of like, as you said, like pretty high caliber speakers, like Zeneca and NFT
yeah,
statistics and um, But I think when I told them and approached them about the idea and about like why I was trying to do it, and the fact that I wasn't making any money out of it, I was just doing it to try and just help. They were like, "Yeah, like let's do it. This is awesome."
Yeah, there are
Because they
so
want to help
many.
people as well, so it
Yeah,
made sense.
and that's the thing. There are so many nice people in the space,
Mm.
and that's gonna be another question. Was yeah, I was gonna say, do you think making it a free NFT summit probably helped get the speakers in? But I mean, you absolutely could have charged for it. To be fair.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I mean, people have said to me, yeah, like I would have paid 10,000. They've gone through the summit and listened to all the recordings and the videos, and people have said I would have paid $10,000 to learn this because the amount of stuff I've learned, and then I still get messages like nearly every week from people saying, "Hey, Liam, you don't know me, but I attended your summit and I listened to all the recordings and I took all these notes, and since then I've made like 5 ETH or whatever from learning." Um, so yeah, yeah, I've always invested in education personally in my life. I've always thought that that's such a great return on investment. It's way better than buying some stupid JPEGs. So, like in my head, I'm always willing to pay to learn because I think once you learn something, it's really hard to unlearn it,
Mm.
and you've got those skills forever. So like one of the sessions we talked about in the summit was around gas wars and like learning how to set gas. And like once you learn that, that's the difference between winning and losing, some competitive mints. And then if you extrapolate those events, those competitive mints over the next 5-10 years, and say you never learned how to do it, so you lost 0 out of 50, compared to now you know how to do it and you win 40 out of 50, those 40 mints can be worth like 0.1 ETH, maybe more each. So the value you've actually gotten from educating yourself on gas wars is actually worth legitimate money. Like it's worth 4 ETH or 10 ETH or however much money you've made on those mints. So it's like
Yeah.
the cost of not knowing something is huge in my opinion. And then the upside of knowing something long term, because we know NFTs are going to be here forever, right? So it's like once you learn this stuff, like you can use that to make money and profit from it and make better investments over the next 10, 20, 30 years. So yeah, I just always think that it's funny, like people still like, it's not always people saying, "Oh, this is the most amazing thing ever." Like there's still people like, this is bullshit. Where's my where's my airdrops or whatever they like? They completely miss the point of the summit. Like, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think you
think it's
get
very
that.
weird.
Yeah,
They
you get that
they
everywhere.
don't realize how important education is, and maybe that's just because I'm lucky because when I started my business in Web 2, like 10, 11 years ago, like I've spent well over $100,000 in education, in courses, in coaching, in joining groups. Yeah, like it's always been worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anything from the summit? Did you ever attend a session and think, "Oh, I didn't know that"?
Every single one. I mean, the people I got to speak to were, yeah, incredibly smart, intelligent people. Yeah. Yeah, personally, I learned a lot. And I guess that's why I was excited to do it as well. And I'm excited to do one every year. I guess that's what a lot of people don't realize listening to this. But the whole point of it was I'd do one every year, because every year that NFT space would change and there'd be new people to learn from and new things to learn. So, and I always want to make it free because I just always want to make it accessible and
But that
yeah,
was going
just
to be my
bigger
next
and better each year.
question, because it was obviously a lot of work the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously going to be another NFT summit. So if you're a holder now, do we need to go through? Because I was grafting making those memes to try and get into that free mint.
Yeah.
Do I need to do that again this time?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, like, because it was just an idea I had and no one had ever done it before, I didn't know whether it would really take off. Because, like we just talked about, people are more interested in airdrops and stupid yield farming and making money that way. Like I didn't know how seriously people would take education, but I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter. If I can make 500 people happy or 1,000 people happy, then that's fine.
Yeah, well, I gotta admit, man, I didn't. I obviously, yeah, I didn't have education on my mind. I was literally just like, I'm over here having fun with the V friends and supporting the artists and doing all this cool stuff and VCon and then I saw your story and was like, well, I want to make 1 million, so I better join the summit.
Yeah.
But then it's funny how things change and I still have to watch a lot of the content, but I got the free trial for one of those trading tools. I never really had a look. I downloaded a few of the bots. I never really played around with it, but all the sessions on the network, I made a little Twitter list of my own and I started following Liam and Tom, and then they created Unorthodox and I started following Unorthodox, and then I ended up going to NFT London on their dime and going to their event with their client, and just kind of following them and enjoying the ride, and now meeting Franzi, and then that links back to you again because there is such a small network of good people in the space, and
For sure.
I definitely want to be part of that. So
yeah, for sure.
Whatever I can do to get into the next summit, just let me know.
Well, yeah, I think anyone who holds the ticket from last year will be able to come to this year. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with like increasing the numbers or that sort of thing. But yeah, I'll figure that out later. But yeah, I definitely need to make it free again. So I think this time a mistake I made was trying to do it all myself because it was free. So I was like, I still spent like tens of thousands of dollars on it as well because you just naturally have to for putting together an event like that. So I think this time I'm going to take like sponsorships a bit more seriously and get some revenue from sponsors, and that will allow me to hire a few more people for the event. Because there was some parts of the event that was a bit of a shit show behind the scenes because I was just like scrambling to get stuff done. Whereas I think the event will run a lot smoother if I get people actually paid to help get it done.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Was it's only really kind of seeing how the unorthodox guys operate when they're helping to run projects, and you see the team of people. Like, my eyes have been open to the role of a collab manager. I was like, what? What do they do? And I'm like, oh my god, there's no way I could be. I'm not organized. I could not be a collab. So how big was and how big is the LiamD team behind the scenes?
Yeah, so there's 5 of us that kind of just work behind the scenes at the moment. But mostly collab managers mostly work unpaid, but they generate profits and revenue through the collabs that they secure. So it can be a really lucrative job, and can also actually, like, if anyone here is listening and wanting to get into like Web3 and really like being a collab manager is a great job role because of exactly what you're saying. Like, it allows you to meet a lot of really interesting people, interesting founders, and make money from it as well. Like, if you're good at it, you can get white lists and allow lists to some of the more competitive mints that can be really hard to get to. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then my wife, she does like the books and everything behind the scenes and admin, and it's pretty cruisy for now. It'll get a lot busier again once the summit picks up. I will say, like, just full warning to anyone listening to this, like, please don't FOMO into buying one of the summit. Like, so, and I said this actually in the lead up to the summit. I just said this over and over again, and people still didn't listen. But I'm like, the summit is a ticket. It's like a ticket to an event, because we all know NFTs are going to be like tickets everywhere. Like, you're going to go to a Taylor Swift concert, as I know you do all the time, mate. Your ticket is going to be an NFT, and like, that ticket is not going to like go to 10 ETH. Like that's not the real world NFTs are not going to work like that. But I think we need so many different types of NFTs in the world, and building on top of each other. And so, like, when I put together this summit, I was like, we have to make the ticket an NFT, like, because this is what it's all about, is about using this technology and experiencing it. And I said to everyone, because the ticket is to an event and the event runs for July, once the event is over, naturally the ticket is going to not be as valuable because the event is over. Now, you can still buy the ticket on OpenSea, and then you can use that ticket to log into our gated website and watch the recordings. I don't know what the floor price is at the moment, but it's close to zero, because people that have watched it and don't want to watch the recordings anymore, they don't want to hold the ticket. That's fine. I'm happy for people to, dump them and pay what you want. But yeah, the last thing I want to see is like people FOMOing in and like spending too much money on these tickets, thinking that like it's going to appreciate in value, because that rarely happens, right? The whole point of this is to try and help and educate people, and so that's definitely part of this education process. But I know, like, for this year's summit, probably the same thing will happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
People FOMO in, and then I'll get angry messages saying. But then it's also comical, because like I think the floor price for the original summit, I think, hit 0.3 or 0.4. So what's that, like $400 for a ticket? Pretty expensive for a ticket if you compare it to like a movie. Pay $20 to go see a movie or something. But then like $400. Okay, you've bought the most expensive ticket to the summit. Like, I feel sorry for you because I told you not to do that, but you still did it. But instead of getting angry about it, what can you do with that ticket? Well, you can attend the summit. You can listen to some of the most amazing speakers and smartest minds in the Web3 space. You can learn new skills. You can learn how to win gas wars. You can learn how to use bots and mint from contract. You can learn how to find blue chips early. So you spent that $400. Do you think maybe like everything that you learned might actually return you more than $400 over the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years? I mean, I'm not here to give financial advice, but I feel like sometimes a lot of people like to complain, and I think they just can't see the forest through the trees sometimes.
Yeah, people love to complain, and yeah, but like even to hear you talking about like a 5, 10, 20 year, journey through NFTs to make your money back, like people just don't think that long term. I don't either. It's great to hear you saying it. So we had the first summit. There's another summit coming. In between that, you've had your 100K club. So give us a quick rundown on how that's going and what it is as well for people that haven't heard of it.
So yeah, and this is the part of like NFTs that I love, which is just, if you don't think about profits, if you think with that long-term mindset, it's amazing kind of like what opportunities and stuff happen. So I was doing this summit, and all throughout the summit, I got the standard messages being like, Liam, give us whitelists. Like, we're here. Like, start doing giveaways. Give us. And I'm like, they're all like, where's the utility? I'm like, this is not that project. This is an event. I'm just trying to educate. Like, just relax. I'm not opening that can of worms. And people just kept saying it like every day. And I kept saying live on the air, guys, we have 25 speakers here. Heaps of them have alpha groups. Like, we had like guys that you talked about, like Tom and Liam, Champ, Amir, Zenica, like all these guys have their own Discords, and they all have their own giveaways and collabs. And like, I'm like, if you want to join alpha groups, like, go join their alpha groups. Like, these guys are great people. They're amazing people. Like, just go. Towards the end of the summit, it was just relentless, and people were like, I'm already in those groups. We want you to do a group. I was like, okay, I'll pull up a Google form. I'll get some interest and say, look, I'll do an alpha group, but I'm only going to do one if I keep the numbers really low, really capped, because the worst thing about giveaways and collabs is like a really hype project might be launching, and your Discord server might get a 10 or 50 spots to this hype project. Oh, great. This is great. I might have a chance to win this spot. But then you actually add the numbers up and they're like, hang on, there's 10,000 people in this Discord and there's only 50 spots. So that means 9,950 people are going to miss out on whitelist. And so I thought, okay, well, what would be the best group possible? Like, how would it be? How could I make a group where it was like, so everyone will be so happy with the group? I was like, what? I just have to cap the numbers. Like, if I just cap the numbers and I decided to cap it at 89 spots. And that was based on how many people filled out the Google form and said they were interested. So capped it at 89 spots. And then basically if I get 50 whitelist spots to a project, more than half the group gets whitelist for that, which is like an insane win. You got like a 1 in 2 chance of winning compared to a 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 500 chance. And then like very often we get allocation for the entire group. So all 89 people get it. And so then I was like, okay, you guys have given me indication of, that you're interested. And if I was to cap it at like this price, at this amount, like what kind of price would be fair. And so we just based the price the same as all the other alpha groups, which is at the time like Gorilla and Ryan D Crypto and everyone was charging $250 a month. So I said, all right, this is what I'm thinking. I'm just going to like chuck this Google form up. And then, like for anyone who wants to apply, I'll do it application only because I want to make sure that we get good quality people in there and really good level thinkers. I talked before about how important it is to have as many eyes in as many places as possible, like scouring the internet to try and find alpha and find projects earlier. Like I wanted to make sure that the people coming in were those kinds of people that really wanted to like contribute to the group and make the group like a really effective alpha group. And I chucked that up there and like I was completely blown away because word kind of spread around and I just ended up having like hundreds and hundreds of people try and get in. So I kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit with that, like capping it so much. But I was going to just do like a public launch and just like chuck this website up and like people could pay. But then I quickly realized like that was going to be a disaster because it was just going to be too many people. So then I just went through one by one. And again, it ended up being way more work for me, but like one by one, like talking to people and interviewing them and like sending them the link and then they could sign up one by one. So I called it the 100K Club because I was like, okay, well, people found me like yourself because I was able to turn that like 0.6 ETH into 6 figures. Let's try do it again, and just prove that like it wasn't a fluke. Except this time I wanted to start with zero, like basically zero. So I wanted to start with like the absolute minimum amount possible. So I started with like 0.0003 or whatever. I only had enough in this wallet to like mint a free project, like one free project. And so the whole point of the group was like I'd start with this wallet and I would only use alpha and whitelist from that group. So I wasn't allowed to use my connections with Zenica and other famous people or like because I still I'm really lucky. I get allow list and whitelist to projects just because like I'm semi-famous on Twitter. And like it's stupid because it's like some of these projects have like 2-3 ETH floor prices. And I literally didn't do anything and they just give it to me. So like the whole point was like I'm not allowed to use those projects in this as part of this challenge. And so we started like 4 months ago. I'll just check the balance right here. So I'm at 6,000 Australian dollars, like 2.76 ETH. So in 4 months, I've gone from 0 to $6,000. So
well done.
Still a fair way up 100, but that's the whole point. Is I'm like, it's all part of the journey, and like, but yeah, I think we were talking off air as well. Like one of our members in the group, we do like this. This thing in our group called Alpha Sips, where like someone from the group comes and does a presentation and we all get a fancy drink and post a picture of the fancy drink and like listen to Alpha while we sip our fancy drink, and we call it Alpha Sips. And she came really on meme cards last year, and this was very early. This was like months and months ago, and everyone should know meme cards by now because it's absolutely exploded. But
absolutely, as if I didn't need any more FOMO about this group. But no, to be fair, it must have been a lot of work for you. The number of times you DM'd me to tell me that I wasn't getting in Really appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh man, so funny.
But no, all like, but to be fair, like all joking aside, like yeah, for me, I suppose just being your average learner, I suppose, I saw the 100K club, I saw the application, when it started saying, what can you bring to the group? I was like, not much, to be fair. Like, I just want to make loads of money.
Yeah, that's right.
And then when and then because I went down the network route, when you do meet these people that are in that are your peers and that are in that group, you're like, yeah, like they are another level. So I'm getting there. I'll let you know when you can let me in. So
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we've got a waiting list at the moment, and so you can, because I've capped the numbers at 89. I can only get new people in when someone leaves.
I can't imagine that happens too often.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when we first started, lots of people came in and out. I think, again, that's what we were talking about before, people with kind of the short-term mentality. And I kind of feel sorry for them, right? Because, we had a bit of a slow market in October last year, November, but that's when we, as a group, started getting in on the meme cards, and people in our group were up like 30 ETH on those meme cards just this month. So the people that had that short-term mentality missed that. And it's just another example of people trying to prioritize, like what you said about short-term thinking. And
yeah, I mean, it is hard. Like I think of myself, like I want to have that long-term thinking, but I definitely need money in the short term. Either I need profit or I need to not be spending it on NFTs. So
makes sense.
it's trying to find those free mints. It's trying to find, like, I was pointed towards the dollar meme cards because they're only $1. I'm like, well,
yeah, I mean, there's so many
you,
opportunities like that.
yeah, you just need to be around the right people to see it, because I'm sure there's lots
Yeah.
of stuff you can buy for $1 that's absolute rubbish. But
That's right.
do you need to finish on the hour?
No,
By the
we're
way,
good. We're good.
okay, because I realized, yeah, as usual, we're talking away, and my iPad is gloving away with questions that we never got to. You called yourself semi-famous on Twitter, but like, what is
What
your
a knob. Why did I do that?
yeah, really, you're really selling yourself. I noticed you did do before Christmas, you were doing like a few threads. Like, do you have like a content strategy or a Twitter strategy or any desire to even be semi-famous or really famous?
Definitely don't have no desire to be famous. But I know that there is upside to content creation. And that's just because from where I'm from in like the Web2 space. If I hadn't have put my time into growing my Twitter presence, there's no way I would have been able to get the caliber of speakers to the summit. And so therefore the attendees and the people that I was trying to help would have suffered as a result of that. So it was very much like, okay, if I can grow my Twitter presence, sure, I'm going to get more selfish opportunities. Like I talked about that before. I get allow lists and whitelists to things that with no effort, just because projects give it to quote unquote influencers. And so there's a selfish gain in that, right? It's like I've made money from that. But I knew that if I wanted to make this free summit a success, I knew that I couldn't just be some unknown dude with 100 followers. But then also, like I talked about it before, is like, well, I only had success in the NFT space because I learned from other people and they were willing to share their learnings and lessons and secrets. And so to answer your question around content strategy, like that was my content strategy. It was like, post the most helpful things you can think of for free. That was it. And so I used to do like these mega threads. But then we talked about this before as well. Like I think Twitter as a platform, there's this really fine line between like engagement farming and actually providing value. and I started to notice that I was doing little like tricks and stuff to get more engagement on my threads, instead of just providing value. And then when I realized I was doing that, I just said to myself, look, I'm just step away for a bit, just reset. Because I don't want to get into that game. Like, I don't want to get into that world of like people doing content just for content and just, because that's not, when I log into Twitter personally, I don't want to see that shit. Like, I want to see like real conversation, and I want to see, genuine stuff. Like, I just don't, whenever I see those bullshit threads with like the copywriting keywords, and I come from a copywriting background, so I understand, and I've used that to my advantage in the past. So yeah, it's a tricky kind of line. So nowadays I just try and tweet helpful thoughts when they pop into my head without all the fluff. And I definitely get way less engagement now than trying to like trigger the algorithm and bait people into engaging.
But that's it. It's definitely a balance between engagement farming, using those tricks, and providing value. Like, I mean, obviously pre NFTs, when social selling first started, and I was working for a big tech company, and we all went on a digital social selling on LinkedIn course, and then like half the sales team are putting themselves out there as LinkedIn influencers, and you're like, what? we just did a.
Did you see that guy put out a software tool which was like viral LinkedIn post generator? Did you see that? It was just like hilarious, because you could just type in like a famous person, type in a location like cafe, and then type in another keyword, and then it would post like this inspirational LinkedIn quote that would like tie back into like professional development. Oh, and it was awful, because it was like exactly what you see on just this vomit that you see on LinkedIn all the time. Anyway, I just didn't. Exactly. I don't want to be part of that.
No, I do think like I need to clean up my Twitter a lot, because I use the one account to like follow and retweet the whitelist and stuff. But
you got to have a burner Twitter account. I'll tell that everyone in my group's got one. So you got to have like a burner Twitter account that is designed for follow, like, retweet, giveaways, and that's it. Like, you can't use that as your normal Twitter.
Yeah, I was on that session, and I did that, and then I remember there was an issue with pre-mint once. It wouldn't accept it, like it wouldn't let me change it, and I just, as usual, just got impatient. Went, what's the worst that can happen?
I think pre-mint did fix that though. Actually, I think so. Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, so I need to go back and sort that out. But yeah, like you do see a lot of it. You do see a lot of it on Twitter, and I've unfollowed so many people because I'm just like, and I do have like notifications on for a lot of people now, so it's like my notification thread or feed is pretty much just my feed. Obviously you're top of the list for whenever that waitlist pops up, but I do. Like it's crazy. But do you think that even though you get less engagement, it's from people that you actually want to engage with?
Not sure. I don't put too much effort into it. I don't think too much about it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Twitter is a very strange platform. It doesn't feel very authentic, I think. Like the interactions I have like in video like this, or in Discord voice chat, or just in a Discord server, it just feels way more authentic. I can be talking to the same people on Twitter and like tweeting at each other, and it just doesn't, because it's all in public. It just feels weird. Like it doesn't feel natural.
I totally agree. It's funny because like I have always been dead against sharing pictures of my kids online. But like in certain Discord groups, just like
that's right.
And I'll be taking a picture of the kids because somebody would have sent me like a beanie. So like my eldest would be wearing the beanie, and the Jen would be like, "Is that going on social media?" And I'm like, "No, it's just going into this random Discord group." But in her head, she's like, "You're showing strange people on the internet." But that is the power of like Web3 and the Discord groups. Like, it's very strange. I don't think I've ever shared any personal stuff on Twitter, but Discord groups, I'm always crying to somebody about some problem I've got. Yeah, or like, oh, here's my kid in a Joyage Kingdom beanie. Hey, everybody. Yeah. So, yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting. And you said actually your wife helps with the books, but is she a degen at heart? Does she ever get involved in those kind of things now?
No, I mean, she really likes art. So some of the art block stuff she's interested in, but she's tried it, and to her credit, but it's just not for her. Not her thing. So yeah, she's got no interest in trading or buying or selling or collecting or dealing with MetaMask or anything like that.
Yeah, I think until I make $1 million, yeah, I've got a lot of work to do to sell it here, you know, because it was only through helping somebody build their Web3 brand that they brought B2VCon on their ticket. They paid for my flight on my Airbnb, and my wife was just like, "You're getting murdered. Like, why is this like? Why are you going to go halfway around the world to meet these people off the internet, and they're paying for you to like?" I was
That's
like,
right.
I mean, when you say it like that, honey,
you
yeah,
wake up and your kidneys are gone.
yeah, yeah. But thankfully that didn't happen. So
that is funny.
But yeah, so the alpha on Twitter is basically just tweet helpful stuff and don't even look at the engagement.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know, because you will get punished. Actually, you know what? The only thing I wanted to add to that was I was playing around with YouTube Shorts, and I did a very, very clickbait YouTube short because I'd won a VFriends card that was worth like 500 quid. So I did this little clickbaity YouTube short, and I got fucking hammered for it. Like dislikes, like this is just clickbait. I was like, well, yeah,
right.
it is. It absolutely was. You're right. Yeah. So I won't, I won't do that again. But then, you know, is bad engagement? You know, that's kind of good engagement as well, isn't
it? I guess so. I mean, people. That's what trolling is, right? Like people like putting out stuff that they know that everyone's just going to get angry about. But yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. That's my style. Talking about you mentioned the kind of the bear market at the moment. Like, what's your being you fully accept you're not a proper trader. It's only been 2 years in NFTs, so no one can say they're an expert. But caveat all the non-financial advice stuff. Where do you see the market going at the moment?
Are you talking about NFTs or like crypto
Yeah,
or
yeah.
macro or?
Oh, see, there you go. You're way too intelligent for my questions. I tell you what, we'll do NFTs first. Yeah,
Okay.
because we've got like you say, meme cards are going crazy. Open
Yeah.
editions. I might even do my own open edition in it. You know.
Congrats. Yeah, my dog's thinking about an open edition, so that's good. No, I think what I've witnessed so far is NFTs like are just rapid cycles. So they'll just like pump for like 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then just like be dead for 3, 4 weeks, and then pump for 2 weeks, and then be dead for 6 weeks, and then in the bear market anyway. Obviously, in 2021 and leading into the start of 2022, it was just like 6 months of like nonstop. Actually, that's not true. November, when I first started, November, this is when crypto was still really pumping, and there's so much activity on the ETH network, on the Ethereum chain, that gas was constantly between like 100 to 250. And because the price of ETH was like $4,000 at the time, it would cost about $100 to just like transfer an NFT, or $150 to like stake an NFT. So just doing like just the most basic transactions on chain were literally $100, $150, $200. And that completely destroyed the NFT market in November. And so again, this was like within the first 30 days of me joining, I got all excited about NFTs, and then like, yeah, it was just so hard to make any profits during that time because nobody wanted to do anything to do with NFTs because gas was just way too high. So maybe that'll happen again. I think gas is obviously a lot more efficient now. Contracts are more efficient. But if ETH hits like $10,000 or $20,000 or something next crypto bull run, and gas is crazy, do we really have contracts efficient enough to, keep gas fees low on NFT network? I'm not sure on the ETH network. Like, we might run into a similar problem then as well. But
yeah, there's so many variables, and I mean, have you traded? Like, would you know much about the crypto market? Have you traded
I'm the
crypto
worst
as
crypto
well?
trader. As I said, like I never traded crypto until I discovered NFTs, and I realized you needed ETH to trade NFTs. I'm like, oh, that looks like I'm buying some Ethereum, and people always bag me because you can't buy Ethereum. You have to buy Ether, the token. But
Yeah.
shows how much I don't know about it. But yeah, I think I'm very bullish on this space long term. Like, I think it's just obvious that NFT is going to be around for a very long time and going to change the world. So it also seems obvious that crypto goes in cycles, and
Yeah,
it has a few years where it's very down, and then has a period where it goes very up. So my strategy right now is just to accumulate ETH through flipping NFTs, buying and selling, trading, just try and increase my stack. And so I think that stack will be worth a fair bit one day. But at any point I can cash it out now into US dollars if I want, or Australian dollars. But in my head, I'm like, oh, why would I cash out when the market's like at its lowest? Like, what's Warren Buffett say? Like, you should buy when people are fearful and sell when people are greedy, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm learning always have spare cash, because I'm like, now I'm thinking, gee, especially when Ethereum went down to like 900 quid, and Solana went down to like 4, I think, did it? I'm like, oh, if only I had a spare 10 grand to put into this. This would be
Yeah, but that's where the
brilliant.
strategy of just like, well, use these periods to accumulate $10,000 worth of NFTs. You know what I mean? Like, because that's the strategy at the moment. It's very easy to do a free, like, allow this for a free mint, and then sell that free mint for 0.1 or 0.2 ETH. And then you've got that 0.2 ETH, and then you can buy something else with that 0.2 ETH, and that turns into 1 ETH. And then before you know it, you've got 10 ETH. It doesn't matter what price ETH goes whilst you're doing that, but essentially you created that 10 ETH at these lows, right? And so, like, you can choose to sell during the lows or sell during the highs. And so in my head, I'm like, well, I don't know much about crypto trading, but it seems to me like during the downtime, that's when we should be accumulating. Because exactly what you said, like, it makes sense to have a spare 10 grand and buy it at the lows. Well, I don't want to do that. And I've figured out a way to create that 10 grand kind of out of thin air by selling and trading non-fungible tokens. So why don't I just do that?
Absolutely. How, because I get that when you're trading, be it NFTs or crypto, whatever, you do have to be very kind of non-emotional about this and have your plan and stick to your strategy. I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway. How good are you at sticking to that strategy? Because I accumulate 0.1 here and 0.05 there, and then my friend releases an NFT. I'm like, well, I better buy it, and then it's gone.
Yeah, that is tricky. I know what you're talking about as well with regards to like supporting friends and minting. I guess it comes down to like your percentage of your total portfolio value. I think your friend would understand. You'd be like, dude, this is like 30% of my entire portfolio. Like, I can't mint this. I'm sorry. Your friend's going to be like, that's fine. If he says it's not fine, he's not really your friend, I guess. But yeah, with regards to like sticking to emotions, it's hard. I still make mistakes. But the aim is to
make us all feel
minimize the
better.
damage of the mistakes you make, right? So
Yeah, I was going to say, make us all feel better and tell us about your biggest mistake.
Well, my biggest mistake's always been in the projects I have the most conviction in. Because it's very easy to take profits for me personally in projects I don't believe in, because it's just like, this is a rubbish project. I don't want to hold this. So I'm going to sell it. But my biggest losses have been in projects where emotionally I've thought these projects can be legit. And so when they reached crazy prices, like Moonbirds hit $140,000 Australian, I think, at one point. Its current value is about 11 or 12,000. So it's like that's $130,000 loss for me in unrealized gains. I'm lucky because I didn't buy it at 140,000, but I had the opportunity to sell there and I didn't. Why didn't I sell? Well, because emotionally, I thought when it hit 140,000, I thought, finally, I've minted the next Bored Ape Yacht Club. Like, finally, it's happened. No project has ever gone from 0 to 140 grand in the space of a week. Finally, Moonbirds has been the one to do that. This is finally the next Bored Ape Yacht Club. This is the one that we've all been waiting for. Sure enough, it wasn't. And it basically never is. Me and my friends joke about it. Like that, it's like the statement it's like taboo statement. The next Bored Ape Yacht Club. You can never say that statement. As soon as you say that statement, it's a time to sell.
Absolutely.
So that was just one story, but like it's the exact same story with Neo Tokyo for me. The exact same story with the Littles. Like all of these projects, Journey Club, like all these projects, I had so much conviction in long term. They're the ones I lost the most amount of money, like well over 200 grand in unrealized value that I end up having to sell for like a few thousand.
Yeah, and are you good at selling at a loss, or do you just hold on
I'm pretty
until the
good at selling at
bitter
a
end?
loss.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
something I need to get better at. So I bought.
you got to offset your tax. Like it's crazy to me. I would hate to do that. Like, yeah. As soon as the tax year is coming to an end, I'm selling everything. Like, because I'm trying to minimize the amount of tax I'm paying. Like, yeah. So, because I can always buy back in as like the day after the tax year, right? If I still believe in the project.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's funny though, once you sell it and you tell yourself you're going to buy back in, and then you go to do it and you don't, and you're like, maybe maybe when push comes to shove, you realize how much conviction you really have in the project.
That's it. And I think, a couple of things there. One, I think I bought a Boss Beauty at 0.6, and that was the most I ever spent on a token. And it went all the way up to 3.5. But we all thought it was going to 12.
Exactly.
And then I watched it come all the way back down. And I'm like,
story as old as time, right?
yeah. And then
I think it's a lesson learned that usually when things are going good, I've got a section in Zenika's Discord. Zenika wants me to do like trading lessons and stuff in his Discord, so I've been doing that for him. And yesterday it was I did a post which was like the time when you least want to sell is usually the time to sell. Because think about it from a supply demand point of view.
Yeah.
Emotionally, why don't you want to sell? Like because it's pumping and you're like, fuck, this project's so good. Like finally, like I've hit a really good project. And I'd be like, bro, just sell it. And you're like, no, I don't want to sell. Like this is my boss beauty. Like I love this. Like this is amazing. Like that's the time when you want to sell, because if you think like that, then chances are the rest of the market thinks like that. And so if the rest of the market thinks like that, that's why the price is going up, because like the sentiment around the project is really positive. As soon as you start going, Liam, I really don't like this boss beauty, I just want to sell it. If you're thinking that, what is the rest of the market thinking about boss beauties? They're thinking the same thing. They're thinking it's a rubbish project. So do you think they're buying or selling? They're selling. So what's happened to the floor price? The floor price is tanking. So the lesson I learned was like, The time when it's really hard to sell and you don't want to do it. Every ounce of your body is like, I love this project. I could never bring myself to sell. That's the time to sell. Because as soon as you reach a point where it's like, I really don't like this project anymore, I just want to get the fuck out, it's too late. The floor price has already crashed, and it's crashing hard because it's going to be hard to find a buyer. If you're thinking like that, if you're thinking like, I want out of this project, who are you selling it to? Because the rest of the market's probably thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and if you're like a normal person that's not in Web3 24/7, by the time I start thinking I want to sell this, well, it's fucking way too late by then.
That's right. And that's the same with every project. Like you look at Bored Ape Yacht Club again, like that floor price hit 140 or 160 ETH at one point when they got airdropped like the land and the ape coin and that sort of stuff. Like perfect time to sell because all the Bored Ape Yacht Club owners were just like, this is as good as it gets. Like, I'm getting airdropped hundreds of thousands of dollars for free right here. And no one wanted to sell their apes at that point because sentiment was at an all-time high. But that was the actual perfect time to sell.
I look back, I'm still not sure what I should have done. So the only token that I say is my only valuable token is my VFriend.
Brother.
I know. Jesus, don't happen there. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's probably because my camera's like, oh, he's telling that story again. Jesus Christ. But yeah, basically the short version of the story is I had no ETH to even register for the public mint for VFriend Series 2. I don't have a Series 1, but a friend of mine in the space lent me the money to register. I got on the wait list, and when I minted, I got the rare robot with the glitch background, which is like a top 10 easy out of 55,000.
Wow, incredible.
So I'm like, I can't sell it. Like, it's, I have all these friends in the VFriends communities, and Jonathan lent me the ETH to get. I can't. What am I going to do? Plus, my head was all over the place personally at the time. I was like, I don't know what to do. And then, when you actually then broaden your network, as I have outside of the VFriends community, like everyone is just saying, why don't you sell it? And there's one guy, I'll call him out if he ever watches the video this far, NFT Spaceman, every day pings me on Discord, sell the robot yet? Did you sell the robot yet?
Did you sell it?
No. I tell you what, I did start talking to a couple of people about trading it for a mutant ape and some land. And then like a week later, the prices started going up on in the Yuga ecosystem. So I was like,
yeah,
damn it. But I mean, look, it's a token that if an actual collector wants to have, like they would definitely pay for it. There's just like such an emotional attachment.
I mean, Gary's he's an all right guy to bet on out of all the founders in Web3.
But it's that long-term mentality,
Same thing. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Like with NFTs, like he could be completely wrong around what NFTs like hit the mark long term. So still a massive risk.
It is. So yeah, if you want to swap that Moonbird for,
are they similar floor prices? Are they?
I haven't actually checked. But yeah, I'd say my robot's probably so special it doesn't even have a floor price. To be fair, just priceless.
Yeah,
priceless.
You can get an approximation though.
I've had some fairly insulting WETH offers recently. It's pretty depressing.
That's always the case. Cool story. One of my mates in Hideout, when we minted the other deeds land, we were on voice chat and he goes, wait, guys, looking at my land, it didn't look very special, but he's like, look at this property. And one of the properties on OpenSea was like gate 1 of 1 or something. He's like, what does that mean? Like, what gate 1 of 1? And we did some digging because it wasn't like a rare land, like in the middle of the universe or anything like that. And we did some digging, and it turns out there was only like five lands that had this one of one gate. And obviously, like, we're all very excited for him. But yeah, like, he just sold it, I think, last week. So it took him a long time to sell. And he ended up selling it for, I really want to make sure I get this right. I think he ended up selling it for 2 different Bored Apes and 300 ETH as well on top of that. So close to 500 ETH.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So a huge win for him. I mean, in Australian dollars, that's $1 million. That's $1 million sale. So,
wow, that is the kind of thing that would definitely get my wife interested in NFTs finally. I don't know. I think at the time I had a few DMs around that mint for the robot that were like 20 and 30 ETH when ETH was up at about 2.5 grand. And now I'm like,
yeah.
But look, it's all part of the fun of the ecosystem, and
It is, yeah.
Like, how much is your mindset? Sorry, I could literally talk to you all day about NFTs because I only have one person in real life to talk to.
I know exactly what it's like. Yeah, I made friends with a guy in Sydney, and we just didn't know it. I'm not anywhere near Sydney. Like, I'm 1,000 kilometers away from Sydney. And yeah, we would just talk every day because we had no one else to talk to about NFTs. So I understand it. 100% understand it.
Yeah, there's one guy, the same guy that lent me the ETH. Actually, he lives about 20 minutes away from me here.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, but I keep getting told off for calling him my only in real life friend because I did go to VCon and meet loads of people. But yeah, I suppose maybe the last thing to finish on, like, talking about mindset and that kind of stuff. Have you always had that? Have you always kind of come in with that killer, like, mindset? Killer mindset. This is my strategy. I'm flipping to this, and because like, I know I'm probably way too emotional to ever be a good trader, but I think the more since your summit and the journey I've been on since then, the more that I realize my skills are more around networking and also to some extent thinking outside the box. Like when we were talking before about how Franzi was breaking down the meme derivatives, I'm like, that kind of stuff makes sense to me. And so that kind of pattern recognition almost, I'm kind of thinking like, right, if I can really upskill my network and then look at projects the way that these other people are looking at projects, like maybe that's where I'll have a bit of success, because maybe I'll always be a little bit emotional. I don't know.
I think,
was there even a question in that? I don't know.
I don't think so. But we're always emotional, right? Like the whole point is to try and like not let the emotions get to you, I think. So.
But then yourself, small kids, lack of sleep.
Oh yeah, the small kids. Like, I have a rule with myself now, which is like no NFTs around family, because I've made too many mistakes when my daughter's like been screaming in the background and I'm trying to like do something or mint something or transfer something, and I've done the wrong thing and it's cost me bucket loads of money. So now it's just, I only open MetaMask if I'm in my office and just quiet. Like, this world is too crazy to do it whilst multitasking.
Yeah, one false move and you're done. I made that mistake a few times. Yeah, the one time I clicked the dodgy mint, I was rushing and one of the kids wasn't asleep.
The same thing happens to everybody. It's always like family, parents as well. It's like, yeah.
So at least now it's like it's 10:30. Everyone's asleep. As long as I keep my voice down, we'll be okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Daddy's downstairs talking to some strange man on the internet, guys. Don't wake up.
About robot pictures.
Yeah, but that's my only kind of parenting advice to anybody else in Web3. It's like VFriends Series 2 is a cool collection to get the kids involved in, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. I see the videos and stuff. It is very cool.
But then you find like, so the middle kid, Indy, she's nearly 5. she likes the goldfish and the cats, and they're super affordable. If I ever make any money in crypto or NFTs, I can afford her. But Hugo likes the ninjas and the robots. Buddy, those floor prices. Not till your 18th birthday, I don't think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, buddy, I could literally talk to you all night long, but I might be divorced by the morning. Have you got a busy day ahead?
Awesome chatting.
Busy day ahead?
Always in Web3.
That's very cagey. Check in with the 100K club, breakfast.
Mate, I'm in there 24/7. I never leave. I love that group.
Yeah, I'm not jealous in the slightest. Maybe I'll set up my own like $10 club and
for
go
sure.
from there.
Derivative.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Don't steal that from me.
I'm going to Twitter right now. Hang on.
Yeah. Actually, that's the final thought we'll say. Like, you obviously never intended to do the 100K club.
Never in a million years. I'm already in so many other groups, so I just never thought that why would I have my own group? It didn't make sense.
But, like, in reality, what is the downside of starting a group and working
maybe it's
together?
Imposter syndrome. I don't know. Like, I just you don't think you're worthy of it. Something like that. When you enter the space and you see all like these famous influencers, you don't consider yourself to be in the same conversation as those guys, kind of thing. Don't know.
Yeah, no, imposter syndrome is totally real. Like, I had that at VCon. Like, I was just walking around like, what am I doing here? I didn't even pay to get here. Like, everyone here is so cool. Everyone here has friends. And I luckily got this robot because someone else paid for me, like such a freeloader. And then when I was over at NFT London with the unorthodox guys, talking to all kinds of people at their event, like big social media heads, like founders. And they're like, and what do you do, Luke? And I'm like, well, I was going to help out these guys, but I just lost my job. So now I need a real job. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. And just drinking cocktails for free as usual, freeloading my way around the place. It's
that's what it's all about.
Crazy. It is, yeah. But you definitely shouldn't have imposter syndrome, buddy. You are nothing but adding value everywhere you go in Web3.
I think it's always healthy to stay humble.
Absolutely, but I mean, you're married, so you're probably quite easy for you to be brought down to earth at the moment. I would imagine.
Fair point.
No comments. Okay, I get that. But yeah, no. On that note, buddy. Yeah, and
it's funny because like I tell her, "Oh, I flipped this thing, made this much money," and she just looks at me and she's just like, "What do you want me to say?" And I'm like, "Tell me you're impressed." And she's like, "I'm not that impressed though." Come on.
Yeah. At least you managed to flip something. I'm like, oh honey, I made like $60, but I can't pull it out because it'll be $30 after capital gains tax. But no, buddy, listen, on that note, really appreciate you. All joking aside, I look forward to when my wait list becomes an official invite into the 100K club. I keep refreshing that WAP page every day just to check. But no, I genuinely really appreciate the space. I'm delighted there's going to be another summit this year. I will definitely, if you need anyone to do that engagement farming, to be that guy on Twitter, you don't have to do it. I will be that guy driving everybody there, pumping up we wouldn't pump the full price up, but no, all joking aside, buddy, anything I can do to help you, because since I attended your web summit last year, like, it's just been an absolute roller coaster of meet new people, learning new things. Like I said, went to NFT London off the fact that I listened to some guys talk and they sounded cool, and I reached out to them, and yeah, crazy. The crazy world of Web3 continues, and it's really just because of people like you.
Oh, thanks, mate. I'm humbled, but yeah, I appreciate it. I really do.
Good stuff. And I hope to have you back on the podcast when I've done more than 4 episodes, when I've learned how to edit things. And yeah, hope you have a great day, buddy.
Thanks, legend.